Finally tonight, yet another scandal has rocked the world of college basketball. And this time, it's caught up some of the sport's biggest names. Jeffrey Brown has that.
Big money in college sports. That's no surprise, but today's charges expose a large web of allegedly illicit connections. A total of 10 people, assistant coaches, agents, financial advisors, and a top executive at sportswear giant Adidas were charged with bribery involving hundreds of thousands of dollars to influence student athletes. One of the accused is Chuck Person, an assistant coach at Auburn and former NBA player. The school suspended him without pay. Charges were also brought against assistants at 3 other big basketball schools, Oklahoma State, the University of Arizona, and the University of Southern California. At a press conference this afternoon, acting U.S. Attorney June Kim said the case lays out, quote, the dark underbelly of college basketball.
Month after month, the defendants exploited the hoop dreams of student athletes around the country, allegedly treating them as little more than opportunities to enrich themselves through bribery and fraud schemes. Fraud, abuse, and corruption of the type alleged in the charges brought today contaminates all that is good and pure around it, and it has no place in college sports.
And I'm joined now from Detroit by Dan Wetzel. He's a national columnist for Yahoo Sports. Dan, first fill in the picture a little bit about some of these accusations of bribes. What kind of actions are we talking about?
Well, the system is basically this. You have a shoe company, a sports agent, a financial planner, and they are paying money to high school recruits and their families to attend a certain school. In this case, ones that are associated mostly with Adidas. Then when those players get there and when they're at that school, the same crew was paying bribes to assistant basketball coaches so that when the student athletes turned pro and went to the NBA, the assistant coaches who had earned their trust would steer them to Adidas and this particular sports agency and this financial planning. So they were basically trying to put seed money out there to get potentially lucrative clients in the future who would be big money NBA players. And
these are, that's the web I was talking about. These are big schools, right? These are big names in the world of sports. Of course, a big company in Adidas.
Absolutely. You had four universities had assistant coaches arrested today. In the grander scope, too, is you have NCAA violations, which are may not be criminal, but the NCAA can come in and punish. And you had the University of South Carolina and the University of Louisville, among others that we'll find out, are already mentioned in that. So the scandal can be a sports scandal as well as a legal one.
Well, how big is it? Because, you know, as I said, it's not that big a surprise to people who follow sports. There's a lot of money involved, but these are kind of blockbuster, detailed charges.
The situation is significant because college basketball has operated for generations with sort of a wink and a nod understanding that this stuff goes on, but it's very hard to prove it, and the NCAA doesn't have subpoena power, can only do so much investigation. The fact you have the FBI, undercover agents, wiretaps, financial data analysts, and the Department of Justice coming in and saying this is an ongoing investigation. This is just the first series of arrests, and they can now lean on these people involved to try to get more dirt. It can extend out to dozens of universities. The Adidas executive alone, if he's willing to flip in an effort to get some kind of leniency, or he's willing to tell the truth or everything he knows, would have stories and implications, at least at the NCAA level, if not federal law, on dozens of universities. This could be certainly the biggest scandal in the history of college basketball in terms of the sheer number of schools in trouble.
Well, one wonders about assistant coaches. Of course, does that lead to the head coaches, better-known people? Some names I know were withheld in the indictments today, but I know that sports and knowledgeable sports people are sort of putting together 2 and 2 to figure out what other universities, what other names might be implicated.
Well, the University of Louisville is the biggest one implicated today, and they have acknowledged that they are in the investigation, and they are linked to a $100,000 payout to a recruit that was signed by Louisville. That's obviously significant. Rick Pitino is a Hall of Fame basketball coach. They've won numerous national championships at Louisville, and they are currently already on NCAA probation. So, again, these allegations are extremely serious, not just legally with the feds, but with the NCAA, and that's why this can be a very, very big story.
And just very briefly, what kind of responses have come from the universities?
I mean, some have already launched internal investigations. Southern California hired Louis Freeh, the former FBI director's law firm, to investigate it. There is no question all over college sports there is considerable nervousness and an intensity to find out what's going on, because this is no longer an NCAA case. It's a whole nother level when the FBI comes knocking on your door.
Dan Wetzel of Yahoo Sports, thank you very much.
Thank you.